best. You can be the King Kong banging on your chest. You could beat the world.
David Wells shared with us a list of qualities that define successful leadership. The 6 qualities we felt epitomise leadership are being coachable, supportive,
vulnerable,
selfless,
reflective and progressive, and a man of the people.
You can beat the war. You can talk the guy, go banging on his door. You can throw your hands up. You can beat the clock. You can move a mountain. You can break rocks. You can be a master. Don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you go find yourself.
We sat with our facilitator in one of the schools and we talked about what we'd learned from this and how we could take the course away into what we're doing, and we talked about the different things that had really resonated with us within the teaching days. So Canon Louise, who we heard from in the Wrightington Hotel, he was so enthusiastic and it was infectious. His commitment to faith and the way he developed everything that he talked about and everything that he was thinking just flew out of him. We wanted to be like that. We wanted people to be engaged with us in the way that we were all engaged with him. We then had Kevin Quigley, who we called the singing leader, because not many people will stand up in front of a room full of 40, 50 people, get out guitar and hope for the best. And yet every single one of us sat there with a hymn sheet and sang along. So for us, that was leadership, that he could encourage us and get us involved in that way where we did something we didn't really want to do, but we did it anyway.
Secondary teachers don't sing though.
We don't do any of that nice stuff. No. But as well as that, you know, he talked about his 4 B's and he talked about being able to find Christ in absolutely everything. I think at one point he was talking about walking down the beach in Anglesey and seeing a crisp packet and he thought about Christ, and I thought, where did you get Christ from that? Like, how did that work? Well, he did. He found Christ in everything, and in leadership, on those really bad days, that's where you need to find Christ in that child that you're thinking, that's where you have to find Christ. Sister Judith, we've all seen Sister Judith speak more than once. You know, we all come from very similar dioceses. And every time we see her, we always say the same thing. You feel rejuvenated when you leave. You feel rejuvenated not just in your faith, but in your choice of career and what you're doing for a living. She talked about your life is not your own. It's not for you, it's for him, it's for Christ, it's for this thing you call faith. And she also talked about your margins of success. So for me particularly, I come from a school in a very deprived area. Our children are very deprived and some of them don't have a home necessarily. They might have somewhere that they live, but it's not home. For me, those children who are on the margins are the ones that are my success story. And anyone coming from a school in a similar area will tell you the same thing. That child who comes in after the day he's not got his lunch money, that's my success when he comes in and he'll tell you that he's not got it. So those are the kids that we are looking for, those are the kids that we work hard for. And finally, Lucy's favourite, David Wells. Lucy has an infatuation with David Wells.
I just think he's amazing.
She literally stalks him. So, because of this, we looked at outstanding is not a gospel value. We all walk around talking Ofsted, 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 but actually it doesn't matter. The reason that you're there is still the reason you're there when Ofsted leaves.
And the world's gonna know your name, 'cause you burn with the brightest flame.
So, on one of our days, David Wells spoke to us about the three words for power. Dynamite, the adrenaline, which we all know, the rush of getting things needed to be done, we're running around in school, we're really busy. Energia, that earnest strive, that relentless drive forward that we all have within a school that keeps us going. And the third type, exousia, the power of vulnerability, and he used a baby as an example there, that when you bring a baby into a room, everybody stops and pauses, that there's no power in a baby of strength, but that a baby's vulnerability really does speak to people when you meet one.
Last week, on my way to the learning set meeting, this image came into my head. I hate to be late for anything. I'm always like, this course I've been almost an hour before we've started because I don't know where the traffic's going to be in all different parts we've been. And it's a big bug of mine, I don't like to be late. And I was ending up right on the edge to go to the learning set, drawn into various things in school. So literally was running across the classroom with my, the playground with my bags, got into the car, looked into the mirror, not to reflect, just to see what I'm driving. And there's a car blocking me in. And I instantly was like, ugh. So got out, went back into school, and went on what I could describe as a 5-minute rampage of rudeness. Going through the reception, whose car is this? Nobody knew whose car it was. And as I went round the school, I was shouting into the staff room. Head teacher's door was half open while she was in a conversation. It wasn't shut, so clearly I could just burst in and say, whose car is that? Do you know? No one knew. So then, as I went back out into the playground, one of the lunchtime organisers told me, oh, it's the car's gone. The lady apologised, it was an emergency and she had nowhere to park and she had to just park there momentarily. I said, oh, brilliant, excellent, good. So got in the car and started driving. And then the image came into my head again, and for that time, I was the most important person in the world. The world revolved around me. And I reflected at that point as I was driving of all the faces of the people I then encountered. Nobody smiled back. Nobody particularly listened. And it wasn't because they were being rude. It was because of how I was with them. And to take it further is to reflect on seeing the bigger picture. When we reflect, we look at ourselves to be better people. And the way to do this is to try to be more like Jesus.
Through hell with a smile, you could be the hero, you could get the gold. Breaking all the records they thought never could be broke. Yeah, do it for your people, do it for your pride. Are you ever gonna know if you never even try? Do it for your country, do it for your...
Just like the geese, it is not through words that change happens, but through actions. St. Francis of Assisi said, preach the gospel at all times, use words only if you have to.
I can confidently say that in most areas of my life I get a little enthusiastic about certain things. And as Joanna intimated, my need for and desire to do this via the medium of interpretive dance would be one. However, in leadership it is essential to be able to enthuse those around you. Open their eyes to the possibility and let them see everything as you do. Only then can you truly bring about change. However, I'm also aware that enthusiasm on its own is just not enough. You need to be confident of what you're doing and why, and know that it's for the benefit of those around you. When you are secure with this, your own enthusiasm will begin to affect those around you. Enthusiasm is contagious, which is why.
Breaking all the records they thought never could be broke. Yeah, do it for your people, do it for your pride. Are you ever gonna know if you never even try? Do it for your country, do it for your name. Cause there's gonna be a day when you're standing up.
Okay, my leadership journey has been very different to Laura's because I feel like I've kind of done the opposite. I went into the briefing meeting and thought, why am I here? Why has my head teacher brought me to this course, and why did she choose someone else in the school? And I very much felt like leadership was for the experts. They were the people you would go to if you needed something, and they would tell you how to do it and how they wanted it done, and you would kind of just go along with that. And it was only when my view of leadership changed, and it did change very, very quickly early on in the course, that I was able to feel like maybe actually I could do this, and it was something that, you know, I could be successful at. So I don't think I started on the very bottom at won't do it, but I definitely started at can't do it, and I feel like my journey has taken me up. I don't know if I'm right at the top just yet, but hopefully maybe after today I'll feel like I'm up there, and I'm sure I'll have to keep stepping down and maybe going back up and down the steps as I continue.
Cause you burn with the brightest flame, and the world's gonna know your name, and you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. Be a champion, be a champion, be a champion.
say a few words about Pope Francis and what he has to say to us about leadership. Because he's very firm. He begins with some very familiar territory, the bishops. He speaks very directly to the bishops. He started more or less straight away. He'd only been Pope for a couple of months when he went to South America for World Youth Day, and he spoke to the bishops of South America. And he said, it's no good, you lot, sitting in your cathedrals, with the doors open, waiting for people to come in. Do you have the courage to go out there and to walk with people even while they're still walking away from the church?
I was just saying to Bishop John before Mass that we in this diocese have 238 schools, and I believe there's just over 200 in Salford diocese. So put together those 5 dioceses that make the Northwest. Is it 5? Yes. Then there must be something like 700 or 800 schools. And if you think of the number of head teachers and deputy heads and heads of army and others taking leadership positions, then you think, well, where are they all going to come from in the future? Because, you know, we want to keep all our Catholic schools going. We see them not just as a service to the Catholic community, but we think they make, in fact we know they make, you know, a great impact in our local communities, in our local societies. And that's why we need to really need to keep them going. So thank you so much for taking part in this course, and I hope you will all go on to senior leadership soon, and you'll be able to take your place in what I consider to be probably the most important leadership role in the church. Certainly a lot more important than mine. You're head of a Catholic school. Just think of the influence you have of all those children and families. You know, so much good can be done. So thank you very, very much for taking this step, and I pray that you will continue on this journey to senior leadership. Thank you very much.
Politicians be preachers, be believers, be leaders, be astronauts, be champions, be truth seekers, be students, be teachers, be politicians, be preachers, be believers, be leaders, be astronauts, be champions.